Hey everybody, Justin here, and today I wanted to talk about 4 of the larger companies that are currently in the building block realm. Now these are 4 completely different brands doing 4 completely different things in terms of these 4 sets. We have Pantasy, Lego, Mega, and FunWhole. Now there's a difference in price generally speaking, but I'm going to go off what I paid, which I tried to pick 4 sets that are very close in price, so you can get a general comparison of what you're getting with each. Now we're going to talk about minifigs, we're going to talk about build process, build quality, instructions, and just overall, how do you feel about it? So if you like the way that sounds, please like and subscribe to this video, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. First up, we have the Pantasy Popeye set. Now this set retails on their website for $160. I was able to get it on Amazon for $90, so it should go on sale again. If it doesn't, then the price to stuff kind of changes, but I was able to get it much cheaper, and the size of this is about from the tip of my finger, maybe a little past where my elbow is, and I'm about 6'1", so that is a long kind of ship, which is great. Next up, we have the $100 Avengers Jet, and this one you can currently find on Amazon. I think there's 6 left in stock for $88, so if you don't have it, you can still get it for under retail, and people found it for much cheaper than that, which makes it a better value. But people generally know the size of this if they've seen it in stores. Ash Ketchum here with Pikachu. Now this was the $103 set, and I was able to find it at Target for that price, and it was on sale at every Target for that price last week. So it'll likely go on sale again like much of Mega does, so I wouldn't pay the retail cost. I would search for that $103 or cheaper. This one's a decent size, and it's not bad. Good set, looks good. And then we have FunWhole. Now this is your typical modular style build, and this one was 96 bucks. The retail cost is higher, but you can often find FunWhole sets for at least 20% off. So do not pay retail. You're gonna find it on sale easily. And this is equivalent to a base plate and a half wide and a base plate deep. So to give you scale, it's as wide as the Assembly Square modular, although it may not look like it per se. And then depth-wise, it's just a base plate deep, but there's tons more packed into this, which makes the value so much better. So now that we've talked about the pricing, we're gonna go ahead and jump into minifigures and the instructions themselves. So first up here, we have the Pantasy Popeye instruction booklet. You do get 2. They are pretty thick, which is good for, I think it's a good thing. When you open it up, it's kind of just your normal, even Lego does it. They just put pictures and other things having to do with the set. A little bit of background as to who Popeye is, some more great kind of artwork and stuff to just kind of depict what's going on. And then they show you all of kind of where you'd be at with the building process, which Lego does too for most sets. I think it looks really well done. I don't have any complaints. And then lastly, you put the minifigs together. Here's what the instructions look like. You can see there's some big pieces that come in here, but I think what they do really well, and some other companies do, is they highlight exactly where you're putting the pieces, so you know exactly what you're doing. And I think that's great, just because it leaves very little for mistake. Even here, okay, let's build this, and then this is exactly where we're going to put it. It uses a lot of smaller steps, and that way there's less room for error. It does, like Lego does, it has the little sparkly kind of part to show that you're using the drum lacquered colors. And then as you go through, I think the building process is just done really well, and it just continues like that. You build slowly and you put it together, and there's just very little room for mistake. When you're building things like these windows, you build the panel, you put the window on, and then put the panel in, which is not different than Lego would do in this instance. But I just think that these instructions are absolutely on par with Lego. I don't think that there's any kind of downgrade when building this set. Here it says, please rotate the dark gray piece or dark gray part to a horizontal position to fix the middle component. So what that means, fix, not to repair, but to fix and hold into place. It tells you what you're doing. It's not just an arrow, which Lego often does. This explains to you what you're doing with this piece here. And I think that just helps, again, to the building process to make things far more simple. When you finish that one, you get to start on the second book, which shows that, hey, this is where you should be at when you're building booklet or bag 8. And again, you're going through with these small steps. It tells you, hey, this is 6 studs long, which Lego often does not do. They do it with Technic. They don't do it with your standard builds. And again, please find this part in the general package. Lego often doesn't do this either. They just give you the clear bag and expect you, and just kind of put that piece at the beginning of the instructions, and you're supposed to just know. But this reminds you, hey, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm supposed to find it. I think that's a great job by this company. And Pantasy just does a fantastic job, and everything about it. And that's getting before prints and stickers. We're just talking about the instructions and then the minifigs. But overall, I think that this is just done so great. It's telling you where you're doing what steps and what it should look like and when you built something. So overall, instruction booklet wise, I think this is a 10 out of 10. They're very well made. I would argue far better quality and thickness than Lego is. Moving on to the minifigs. Now we have, they're more mini dolls, I'd say. That's the kind of style you're getting. But we do have Popeye and we do have Olive Oil. These are the two that I know. The printing on them is good. You have the arm printing on Popeye with his tattoos, and there's leg printing that's very, very small, but I think it looks great. And printing for his shoes, while it doesn't line up perfectly, I don't think, to the front, I think it still looks good. And Olive Oil has printing on her dress and around the back. So overall, I think that their minifigs look good. These, the men are more minifig style than the women are. The women are mini dolls. I kind of prefer that myself. I think it just gives distinction of who's who. When they go together, this one just has the one part that goes in versus the two. Minifigs, as you can see, the heads are very similar to Lego. Hair on the back for printing, and then just his face. And then you just pop on his hat. So overall, I think the minifigs for Pantasy are pretty good. Next up, we have Lego. This is what everybody's familiar with. The paper here is a little thinner than the Pantasy one. But again, everybody's pretty familiar with the process of Lego, especially if you're watching this video. I imagine you've built at least 1 or 2 sets and have seen how Lego sets go together. Again, they say, hey, these bags are building this, which is what Pantasy just did. On the opposite, Lego does start with building the minifigs per bag and spacing them out. And usually, I'm pretty sure that's more of a theft issue. So people can't just go in and steal all the minifigs. But then you go through, and again, they have the Technic size, but they don't show you how long of a piece you're using. So sometimes you might have to count, especially if there's a bunch of them, like in larger Technic sets. Whereas Pantasy showed you, hey, this is this many studs long. So yeah, there are some differences. Again, you'd have to count, but it is showing too. But everybody's pretty familiar with Lego instructions. If you're putting a sticker on, it just indicates, hey, this is a sticker that you're going to be using, and to put it here. So pretty simple, but Lego does use a ton more stickers than any of these other brands, if the brands at all use stickers at all. So yeah, overall, I'm not going to go too in depth on Lego's instruction manuals. They're good. They've kind of fine-tuned them to what they need to be. There's not a lot of extra to them, but they could be better. And then going into minifigs, again, I'm not going to go too much into detail on Lego minifigs because everybody knows what they are and the quality they're getting. We'll stick with Iron Man. His helmet does open. Everybody knows what the standard minifig looks like, how they go together, a face on the back if needed. But leg printing on this one is amazing. I think they did a really good job, and on some of the other ones. But like on Captain America, there's no leg printing, whereas other brands tend to go the extra mile to put on the leg printing. Even Thor himself, no leg printing. Loki, he gets leg printing. And then Black Widow, no leg printing. So it just kind of varies in what Lego's going to do. But overall, I mean, their minifigs 9 times out of 10 are a 10 out of 10. They look good. They're exactly what you expect them to be. They are what they are. There's complaints about other ones, but as far as Marvel goes, I think they tend to do a pretty good job. Next up, we have our Mega set, and that's Ash and Pikachu. Now, this one has kind of a little area where it tucks in, and this is how, when you open the box, how you receive the instructions. You just open it up like that. The only reason I don't like that is because it tends to continue to flap around, so you just tuck it in the back. Their instructions, I like and I don't like. It's a tough one. You see where you should be at considering the step number or page number. I think the artwork in this looks great. I really like that. You're seeing the artwork of what you're building in a position that you can actually put the buildable character in. And this is essentially, if you haven't seen Mega instructions, they teach you how to use their brick separator, although Lego brick separators work just fine, just like these work on Lego sets. These instructions are not bad. They tell you, okay, you have a 1x4 plate here. This is where that 1x4 plate's going to go, the 2x2 and the 1x4 again. So they do a really good job in showing you exactly where you're going to be putting pieces. The issue I tend to have with Mega in terms of their instructions is the amount of specialty pieces they have just make the instructions very convoluted. I don't know, it just makes them there's a lot of it. And I think it makes for an overall good looking product at the end, and generally I'm going to prefer specialty pieces versus making one piece work for 90 different things. I think it's really cool that they do some specialty pieces to make their models just look a little bit better. But their instructions, yeah, I mean, it's always going to look like that. It shows you, hey, although these are the same pieces, you're going to be varying it. And it's just, that's how you're putting it on. Really, it's pretty simple. Here's where it kind of looks a little more confusing, because it shows, okay, there's a 1x5 plate. So you put that 1x5 plate across those 3 studs, and then it just shows, although this is a 2x2 kind of upward slope, it's going on 1 stud. Now, that could be confusing, and I'm sure it would be for some, but there's also a 1x2 there. So it just, you have to really pay attention sometimes as to what they're trying to convey. But they have a lot of specialty pieces and a lot of things that go on, but it makes for a good looking product. But their instructions aren't bad. They're just probably my least favorite, even though it does show you, hey, this is where it's going sometimes. And here you can see there's 2 sides to this piece. One has a hole in the top on the stud, the other doesn't. And it shows you like, hey, this is exactly what we want you to do. But even, I mean, it's just different when you're putting this together. You'll kind of understand it. But overall, I mean, their instructions are fine. They're just my least favorite instructions. But I didn't tend to mess up or anything when building this. But yeah, overall, pretty good. I don't mind it. This set did not come with any minifigs. You just have the buildable Pikachu and the buildable Ash. Everything else is just that. There's no minifigs. Lastly, we have the Twilight Motel FunWhole set, and these are the instructions and how they look. And again, there's 2 instructions for this. Now, the first one, it kind of gives a depiction of what everything's supposed to be on the inside. Hey, light kit package list, which is amazing. It says, hey, in the separate box just for light kits, 1 should have all that stuff, 2, all that stuff, 3, all that stuff. And then you basically, they show you how to put stuff in and take things apart and set things up for the lighting, which is nice. And then it basically says, okay, bags 1 through 5 are going to build this. You're also going to need bag F, which is the minifigs, or partially some of the minifigs, because F comes up more than once. And then you're going to need 1, which goes back to the first lighting kit. So it tells you, hey, you're going to need this, which is nice, but Lego does that too, and other companies do that too. The finished product looks nice. Hey, testing it out to make sure your stuff works. And that's what these pages are. So hey, make sure your lighting kit works. And then we go into F. F is how the minifigs go together and some of these specialty pieces. For most of this is for lighting and to use the lighting kit within the build. When you start the build, you start it a lot like Lego. You're going to build the foundation of a modular first. Where this is better than any other company is they consistently say, hey, this is 8 studs, this is 4 studs. Hey, this is a 2x6 plate, this is a 2x4 plate. I don't know why Lego hasn't done this. This tops Lego hands down every single time. And they do it there again. Okay, you're gonna need another 8 stud long 1x8 tile. Boom, 2x3, 2x4, 2x4, 2x6. They don't just do it once, but they let you know every time you're putting something in, 2x3, a 1x6 plate. So these instructions are top tier to me. I think that they're great. Moving forward into something a little more complicated, because yeah, they have great builds and they do simple things. When looking at some lighting, that's where things can get a little bit more complicated, and that's more towards the end. I want to say more towards step 170 or so. So if we're looking towards 170, here we go. And this is 170. It shows how to put the lighting kit on, where to put the pieces, and on this, it shows that there's 3 studs on this lighting kit. It shows you exactly where to put the studs, how the wires should be coming out, where they should be coming out. They don't just put one. They label 2, 3, 4. Here's where 4 goes, 3 goes, 2 goes, and there's no shortage of help to say, hey, this is how it's supposed to look. Then it shows where the connecting point is, where it should be coming out. It gives another picture as to, hey, this is what it should look like coming out of the back of the bar. So to look a little closer to as to how specialized some of these bricks are, which only lend towards the lighting kit part, nothing else, which Lego should do if they ever get into lighting kits, is they show you, hey, these bricks right here have the gaps in them so the wiring can sit down inside. And I think that's amazing. They didn't just make it to where the bricks just kind of awkwardly sit on there. But again, here we go. You need these are the sizes. And I think that overall, they do an amazing job. And then on their second instructions set, it's just as good. Everything is just really well done. And their lighting kits look amazing. The detailing on the side to make sure that this looks like some motel or something. Like overall, I think these instructions are hands down the best instructions out of all 4 companies. FunWhole does the best. There's no question. I don't think it's any argument either. I think that this is the best. When it comes to their minifigs, I didn't build them. They're not necessarily my style, but we can go ahead and tear this open. You dump them out. You have to put everything together. There's a hand, there's some arms, there's the legs. So if that's not something you want to do, I can see you not liking this part of it. I don't even necessarily know how these go together because I did not read the instructions well enough. But it looks like, okay, so we're going to have this part. You can clip that on, get the other leg, clip the other leg on, and now you have his legs, and they kind of just slot in. And then let's just say random head, put it on, arms, hair, all that stuff. So that's how they kind of go together. They're just not for me, but overall, I think they're completely fine for people who want to use this style. So first up, we have the Popeye ship by Pantasy. Now, I think they did do a great job with the base. I think it's well done. It's simple. The ship just rests on there with some of the pieces that are put on the bottom. And they have one sticker here, and that is across multiple 2x4 tiles. And that just kind of covers up what the tiles look like, which I think is fine in my opinion. I think that the base is well done, like any other kind of, say, UCS set that you might get with Lego. All of these are printed, and not only that, they are gold. So you have gold, and then you have printing on top of the gold, which Lego probably would never do, along with some of the pieces up here being gold, the rim being gold, gold, like everywhere, or silver, especially these larger pieces at the back. There's so much going on in terms of value, and that's before talking about the overall size. I think that Pantasy knocks it out of the park, and getting this for $60 or $90, I'm sorry, I don't think that there's much more that you could ask for. Each side has its own thing going on. This one has the life raft. At the top, you can see olive oil. That is a sticker, and it's not a square sticker. It is exactly precisely that shape, which is good and bad. You have to be very careful putting it on, but it doesn't lend towards that coloring issue that Lego often has, because they don't do this type of stuff usually. And we'll see that with the Avengers set, but you can see there's so much going on and so much color and life. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. And there is one more sticker. I was incorrect. I forgot that this is a sticker. And here you can see there is this green color, which is a little different than the actual piece color itself, but they do a good job in sizing it to where you don't notice it. The sticker is a perfect size. But overall, I think that quality-wise, this is absolutely great. Now, when talking about building quality, I don't think you'll notice a difference in Lego. I think that these pieces go on with the appropriate amount of, you'd say, clutch power. Nothing just falls off. I think everything's just really great. Yeah, I didn't have to force anything on here. And so I think that Pantasy, if we're gonna say Lego is a 10 for quality, I think Pantasy is a 9, a 9.5. I think that I had zero issue. Things aren't falling off. The only thing is the boat moves, but that's more of a stand issue. So depending on how you're displaying it, I don't think that there's any issue. And I think quality-wise, 9, 9.5, and overall value, I mean, an 11 out of 10. This is just a home run. Next up, we have Lego, and as you can tell, this is a much smaller set. You can even see the Popeye ship still over there, and this is just a much smaller set. So you're getting less because Lego licensing, they charge so much and pass so much on to the buyer. Even though Popeye's a license, maybe it's definitely probably a cheaper one than Marvel. But overall, quality-wise, again, we're gonna assume and go with Lego being the 10 out of 10. You can see what I was talking about with the stickers here. The coloring in their gray to what would be their dark bluish gray is off. I don't like that. All these other companies would just print this stuff, and showing how cheap it is to print things. Lego goes for profits. And again, no knock on them. People are buying it, but at the end of the day, quality-wise, and you can definitely see on the top, huge difference in color. And that's just the problem that stickers have, especially with certain colors. So overall, while the quality is good in terms of the build and the pieces, and you don't have any issues with stuff falling apart, I just don't think that Lego has the value that these other companies have. And you can chalk that up to licensing if you want to, but the size difference in this than the Popeye ship for roughly the same price is insane. This just has far less value. Now, if you're adding in the minifigs, okay, they do add some value. I personally don't think they add that much value. Some do, some don't. But overall, this is a fine build and it's a fine price. I wish I would have paid less because once it went on sale, it was certainly worth more than its retail cost. There is some function here, but other than that, I mean, just normal Lego type stuff. Certain things open up, and this is a pretty standard Lego kind of Marvel set. Next up, we have Ash Ketchum and Pikachu. Now, the scale might be hard to tell, so I'm going to use two things for scale that people might have, which is the Nano Gauntlet, which is a little shorter, and if you want to extend his finger all the way up, it's still a tiny bit shorter than Ash is, but very, very close. So if this is the scale you're used to, he is about maybe a ½ inch taller than the Nano Gauntlet. And then next up, if you collect Pops, that's the style of little Luffy there. I don't know how many Luffys it would take to reach Ash, but it would probably be close to 4.5 or 5. So that's about the scale you're getting with, say, Funko Pops or another Lego set, comparing it to Mega. And the overall scale you're going to get for that $103 if you get it on discount. Now, in terms of quality, we've seen the instructions, and this is probably quality-wise my least favorite. It's not to say that this isn't sticking together and this is going to fall apart, but you really have to more or less force some of these pieces together and push really hard, and it was my least favorite thing to put together. I like the finished product, and I think it's great, and you can see how many prints that they have. Everything's a print. There is no stickers on this. Pikachu comes with multiple faces. Ash comes with multiple faces. The hat and the shoes and parts of the belt and just other things like that. But when I'm going in terms of did I enjoy building it? Kinda. There's some posability that go with Ash, but when trying to stand him straight up, it's hard to get his feet to stay down without him starting to lean forward. And maybe you want him that shape. And yeah, there are studs you can connect his feet to on the bottom, but you really have to work around and see what's going to fit. So this is, I wish they would have made Ash, his legs or something maybe a 1/4 inch bigger, and I think it would have fit better. But overall, it's fine. It's just my least favorite. I think that Pikachu looks great. I think that the prints are great. I think they do a great job with lining up the prints on his hat and everything, even Pikachu's tail or on his back. You can see there's the marks. They're all 3 different pieces and they line up really well. But overall, in the build quality's fine. Yeah, he's moving, but he's on a stand and standing up, and same with Pikachu. But overall, it's just not, it wasn't my most favorite to put together. It was my least. And that's because the pieces are far more difficult to put together. And there is some coloring issues on his jeans, whereas just these longer pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a different shade of blue and you have to kind of see it in person. I don't think the camera or anything will maybe be able to pick it up, but it's a different shade than the rest of the blue. Also not very noticeable, but at the end of the day, again, my least favorite build. Even though I like the look of the finished product, I was just happy to have this one done because, again, it hurts your fingers to put some of these pieces together and some of these studs that are on there and the way that they do things. But overall, great product. But seeing as how I spent the most on this product, I think it is then the most overpriced and overrated one. And that's just based on price and how I felt when building this. And it was just, again, my least favorite, but I love the finished product and putting up there with the rest of my Pokemon stuff. Lastly, we have the FunWhole Motel, and this is arguably my favorite one. And that is for many reasons. I think the build quality was just fine. I had 0 complaints. I don't think that there's a few things I would change, but I don't know if that's just me and my building or if there was a reason or whatever the case that they did. But I think it's great. The coloring's great. I like that this isn't white, but more of an off-white, and that could help with yellowing, sure, but it just gives the vibe of a kind of a more rundown motel type place. The pieces are on par quality-wise with Lego. I had 0 issues. I didn't have to force things down. I like their little motorcycle build and their little kickstand. Their car build is kind of like a 6-stud wide car that Lego would put. There's a spot for the lighting on the bottom. I just need to get a battery for that if I want to hook it up through this and just kind of have it sitting in there on its own. So I think that's great. There's a ton of prints because everything's a print, and you can see the battery pack sitting on the back and some of the wires coming out. So print-wise, I think it's great. These signs on the right aren't prints. It's a thicker material that's just amazing and good for lighting, and I'll turn that on here in a second. Now with the lighting, I messed up and broke one of my wiring that lights up the 2nd floor, this light here, and one of the lights on the inside. So that was my fault, not their company's fault. But I emailed FunWhole and I said, hey, this is the issue I'm having. And they, with no questions asked, sent me a new lighting kit. It's on the way now. So I'm just waiting for that to make a more detailed review of this set. But overall, it's great. And I'll just briefly turn on the lights, and this isn't an overall of all the lights that can be turned on because I broke some. But as you can see, the lighting here turned on, which looks amazing in the dark, and I'll do a better review of this set showing that. And there's some lights on the inside, but again, all of these lights I messed up personally because I broke the wire. All the other wires are just fine. And again, I'm just waiting on their new ones to show up in the mail, but they sent it incredibly fast. They responded. So yeah, great on them. This set is, again, my favorite out of all 4. I think the quality is on par with Lego, so I'd say it's a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10. And I think the overall look is great. Lego doesn't do motels. They won't do anything that says bar and TV, and some of the other stuff that they have going on the inside. Lego absolutely won't do this type of stuff. They don't do lighting kits, and I'm guessing they just don't want to get into the headache of having to replace stuff or things like that. But FunWhole says, I don't care, we're going to go ahead and do it, and they do it great. As you can see, these signs are just great, and I can't wait to get the other lighting kit back in my hands and fix what I broke. But overall, all of these are prints. This map here that says Route 00, kind of, referencing other routes type stuff in a rough USA type looking country. All of these different things, it's just amazing the amount of detail. And on the inside, there's a ton of detail too. But again, I'll make a more in-depth video. The wiring does show on the back because it's got to go somewhere, but they're expecting you to show this from the front more or less, which is what most modulars and most people do with their modulars and their cities. So I don't fault them for that. I think they do a really good job at hiding wiring that comes out or goes certain places. So yeah, overall, my favorite set, 96 bucks. This much stuff is fantastic. And I think the instructions are the best. I think the build's the best. So I think FunWhole, aside from their god-awful name, is doing an incredible job. And in my opinion, if they really want to, granted, I mean, they're never going to catch up to Lego because of licenses and everything Lego can do with Marvel and Star Wars and Harry Potter. But in terms of modular buildings and other things they have going on, I think FunWhole is hands down better than Lego. So there you have it. These are 4 sets created by 4 companies, all doing their own thing in a great way. I think all of them do things well, and I think there's room for improvement on most, if not all of them, in some sort of way. But again, overall value for money, building experience, and just overall looks, FunWhole. I mean, they are just doing amazing. The lighting looks great. The build quality is great. Everything is done really well. You can take the roof off and you can do things as if it's a modular building like Lego. They have connection points, so you don't have to have wires running from floor to floor. Amazing. And it's a motel with a bar and these things that Lego won't do. So I'm so happy to have a company that is on Lego's level doing it for us. Then we have Mega Blocks, which is, again, my least favorite, and that's because the building quality is just, it's harder. You have to force things together and really push, and it taxes your fingers. So when you're doing a larger set like this, it really gets old, and it took me longer to build this set than it would have any other brand had they made this same exact set. Lego is Lego. We know what Lego is. It's great. I'm not going to fault Lego for anything that they're doing because they're a company and they're a business at the end of the day. But what they're doing is overcharging and just under-delivering, in my opinion. I think the sticker quality is poor. I think the value is poor. But I think what they offer is great, and that's because they can give us a lot of IPs that these other companies can't. And if these other companies were having to make Marvel, they might have to raise their prices. So I get it. But in terms of value, I think their value's lower, but their build quality is obviously top-notch. And then we have Pantasy, which again, up there with that 9.5 build quality, where again, Mega is probably a 7, a 6.5. Pantasy's really high up there and great. Pantasy is just very limited in what they give us as well, compared to Lego especially. Mega is very Pokemon focused. And in terms of FunWhole, they give us a lot of cool modulars and a lot of cool other things. But Pantasy does give us Kung Fu Panda, Popeyes, Garfield, and some other things. And they do some great buildings and steampunk stuff. So if that's your thing, Pantasy's great. If you are a diehard Lego fan and you just can't buy any other brand, I think you're absolutely missing out. I think there's so much to be had with some other companies. So try them, give them a try. I think it's well worth the $90 to $100 you spend one time to see if you like it. And this ship looks amazing on display. This little modular motel looks amazing, especially when you turn the lights on with the lights off. And then you have, I mean, all of this. It's just really good. I think we're in such a good time of what we're getting with building blocks that I don't think you miss on buying any of these. I think if you're comparing everything to Lego and you have it in your head, Lego's better no matter what, then you won't like these. But if you go into it with an open mind, I think you'll see that Pantasy is fantastic and FunWhole is amazing and Mega's really good. They have their market. And if you're a Pokemon fan, this is what you need to do. And if we're getting a Pokemon movie, this could be great. These type of sets can just get better with Mega seeing that there's a bigger market for Pokemon, even though there's already a huge one. But I think people are so focused on Lego being the only brand that they fail to recognize all of the good that is out there. So again, this is a brief comparison. This isn't a comparison of in-depth of the sets themselves and giving a review of these sets, but just overall, hey, quality-wise, money-wise, looks-wise, what are we getting with these brands? I've built them all, and I wanted to make sure I got equal kind of payment across the board to show you what your money gets you. So again, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing a much more detailed look at this motel when the lighting kit gets in. And once that's in, it's just going to look amazing. I cannot wait. And we can do tons of other reviews on tons of other sets. I have other Pantasy, other FunWhole, Mega, and endless amounts of Lego. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate all of your time and watching, and thank you.